This call is now being recorded.
Wow, this is cool. Hello, everybody. This is my name is Dale. Got my buddy Tony here. Tony, what's up, man?
Toni Zkrote here. Ready.
Right. So I'm Dale Rose. We got Toni Zkrote. This is so cool, man. We are at Depaul University, Depaul Radio. This is our maiden radio show. This is our first radio show. We're doing nights here at Depaul Radio, and we're going to go over some news for the week of April 17th, 1995. We're going to try to keep it as light as possible. We know there's all kinds of major stuff that's been going on lately, so just let you know, hopefully, this is a small radio show we got here. Hopefully in the future we'll be able to take phone calls or maybe do some, get some guests on, but we are starting out about as small as it gets. So hopefully you like the show, and at least for right now, we have yet to get email running. Tony, we're supposed to get some emails, I guess, for the show for people to contact us.
Oh, nice.
We're in pre-production for that. Of course, we have a budget for this, and I don't even, Tony, do you have a school email yet? I know I don't as of yet.
Yeah, it's rock and roll titties at hotmail.com.
Titties at hotmail.com. Okay. Well, we are a pirate radio show. We'll try to hide that from the radio station. Hopefully they're not, hopefully they're not listening to us. All right. So
feels like they don't.
What's that?
Feels like they don't care, so.
Okay. So let's get going with some news we got going on today. First of all, it's a beautiful Friday here on April 21st in Chicago, DePaul University. Just looking out over some sites here along Fullerton. We are new to Chicago. I got here basically in January, and I got admitted to DePaul right away. It was kind of a freak thing. And Tony, you got here. You and I pretty much got here around the same time. What do you think of Chicago so far?
It's nice. I'm still getting used to it, but it's nice. Real pretty. It's like the weather's been great. Just unbelievable, and the smell of weed in the air is nice.
Yeah, you can smell that. Smell a little something else in the air here. I got to tell you, it's springtime. I can't help myself. I am a growing boy, and let me tell you something. The quote unquote dress that the female population here is starting to wear is really getting me kind of excited. I see lots of little tube tops and little short half shirts and these little short shorts, and man, it's really kind of driving me nuts.
Nice.
I think after the show I'm going to go out for a drink here. Let me tell you something too. In the short time I've been here, this is certainly around the neighborhood that we live in here. I know you live up north in Rogers Park, but we do a lot of hanging out here. So many places to go and get a beer after we're done. Once work is done, once school is done, it's nice to go out and have a beer. I don't really care about the place. I prefer to sit outside like in a nice beer garden, enjoy the weather. But this is certainly the time for it. And speaking of which, one of the first things I want to talk about is it's been a little while since I've been to a movie. There's going to be some great movies coming out here.
Yes.
Yeah, I've already heard of. I like the first two Batman movies. I know. I think you like the first two of them. There's going to be a new blockbuster coming out this summer. Did you hear who the new Batman is going to be?
Val Kilmer.
Val Kilmer. How about that, huh? He was awesome in The Doors. I'm looking forward to this movie. I imagine it's going to be pretty good. I think it's going to be a new director, though. I don't think, is Tim Burton going to return for this movie? I don't think he's coming back.
No, I think he's producing it, but he's not going to direct it.
Did you like the first two?
Loved it. Classic. Was really surprised. And you know, I didn't see Tim Burton as a comic book guy, but he's pretty good.
Yeah. So Batman and Robin. I just saw the previews for that. And by the way, Tony, one of the first things you and I connected about, besides the bands that we love, which we'll talk about, I am such a huge fan of Goodfellas, a huge fan of Martin Scorsese. Supposedly there's a new biopic coming out this summer, another mob-based movie that he's directing with Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci called Casino, which looks totally awesome. About, I guess, in the 70s, Vegas was run by the mob. Imagine that. Lots of cash going through that area, so that looks pretty good. I mean, I don't know, man. What about you as far as Goodfellas, one of my absolute favorite movies of all time?
Yeah, I love Goodfellas. Big De Niro fan. I've been watching his movies since I was a kid. Just classic. I'm interested to see what happens. He's also gonna put out a movie called Heat with Val Kilmer, so that should be really good too. It's gonna be like real tight.
Well, I haven't seen the. Is that still in development? I haven't seen the previews for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I read about it.
By the way, big thank you to you, my friend. We really kind of hit it off here, which is why we're doing the radio show. But you got me this nice wall poster. As soon as I said I liked Goodfellas, I don't know if you got it from your work or maybe the last job you had, but you got me this beautiful wall poster of Goodfellas. And it's so awesome. I remember going to your place that you got there with your little lady there, and I saw that you had one. And you gave me one as a gift. Just want to say thanks again.
Oh, yeah, no problem. That was, I don't mind doing that at all. That's great.
So we got, there's one thing we're going to try to get involved in here. I don't know. I mean, what the hell? If we can get anything going with this radio show, I'd want to use some of the cachet we have being in the quote-unquote entertainment industry to maybe get involved with some of these summer concerts that are coming up.
Oh, yeah.
We know that the Lollapalooza tour is going to be announced here. I know previously there was, I believe last year was Smashing Pumpkins, local Chicago band here who I'm pretty fond of. So we'll have some data on that going forward. But I don't know about you. Are you excited about Van Halen's going to be coming into town? They've got a big new album. I mean, it is Van Hagar, but still. I mean, do you think you'll want to go see them?
I thought I had read somewhere that they're getting Gary Sharon of Extreme to replace Sammy Hagar.
I haven't heard anything about that. I know that Extreme is still around, and I know that Balance just came out. I believe it's Van Halen. I believe it's Van Halen record. So I doubt that is in the works. We're gonna start. You're gonna start some feuds here on the radio, my friend. We got to make sure this stuff is true before we report this. Actually, what the hell? What do we care, right? We feel like we'll say, hey, you come here, hey, everybody, you want to hear the hot news, the newest changes to the industry, what the word is out on the street. You check out this show. Don't check out those mainstream shows. They're too safe, too polished. You're not going to get the underground news from them.
Right.
I got to tell you, one thing I was interested in is last summer. I had one of the greatest times I had is I went and I was on a little something. But me and this girl that I went out with, we went on this party, and it was a Grateful Dead show. But we didn't even go to the concert. We just went to there's a party like out in the parking lot. I mean, like way away from where the actual venue was. I mean, not too far away, but it was like a grass parking lot. And there's just a party there and a bunch of Deadheads. Had a great time. I was thinking about actually going to see a Grateful Dead show this summer. I'm not a big fan of the band, but is that something you'd want to go to if I got some sort of, maybe some sponsorship from Depaul? We can get us a couple of tickets?
Sure. I'm not a big fan of the Dead, but I would just go. I like live music, so. Yeah.
I hear you. I'm not as big of a fan either, but I don't know. I figure I got to see him once before. You never know when Jerry's not looking so good these days, so you never know what's going to happen in the future. I was thinking about seeing him while we can. So anyway, I we have to get into a little bit of national news here. I don't want to spend too long on this. It's supposed to be a kind of a happy college show, but something tells me that we will get involved in politics and some different political issues, whether it's something around the campus here, if there's anything going on with the faculty, staff, and anything with the administration. Going forward, we will certainly have some news for you guys. Anything city related, city politics, we're new to the city, so we're just getting familiarized. So far, I guess I like Mayor Daley is the new mayor. I guess I find him okay so far. His dad had some issues back in the day, specifically at the Democratic Convention back in 1968. But national news, we got to talk about. We know the horrible incident that happened. We don't have too much information yet, but Tony, we know that the Oklahoma City, there's a federal building there that was bombed by some nutbag. They haven't. We don't know the identity yet, but they have brought somebody in. But Oklahoma City, there was a federal building that was bombed. Unfortunately, 500 people were injured, 168 people dead. This is the biggest domestic terrorist attack. Tony, I don't know what to say. Basically, I'm saddened by this, and hopefully from here we can learn how to try to communicate with each other if we're talking about some of the different issues that we have, either with government or whatever it is. I mean, peaceful protest, I'm all for that, but this is deranged. Someone actually put a bunch of bombs inside of a truck, a rental truck or something like that, left it in the base of the parking lot of the basement of this building, and it blew up, and mass damage that happened. And I'm really forlorn talking about the subject.
Yeah, no, I heard about that, and it's scary. It's it kind of just makes you realize that we're not as safe, and we're not immune to terror and destruction and hatred. It's kind of been going on. They have there's been like that Randy Weaver shit, and then you have Waco. So there's all kinds of shit brewing right now. A lot of militias too.
A lot of militias forming around. I'm not really used to that where I'm from. I mean, I was born in Seattle. I was raised in outside of Boston. My family's from Worcester, Massachusetts. Not a lot of militias. There's always some stuff brewing underneath, but coming here to the Midwest, recently as we have, it's a really kind of a bigger thing. In fact, if you go up to Michigan, there's quite a few militias up there, and when you get sort of more into the country areas around here, severe distaste and distrust of the government, which, hey, we know some of the stuff the CIA has done, the FBI has done, I get that, but to respond this way, killing innocent people, I mean, I guess I just think about it like, if you're upset about innocent people being harmed, why would your response to be to kill more innocent people?
Yeah, I think one of the things they use as a scare tactic is they use a lot of anti-Semitic tropes, and that Christians are at war, they're being threatened. They feel that black people are a threat. It's this crazy Christo-fascist belief of that Christians should be more militant and armed. It's just turning to some lunatic shit, really.
Well, I guess we're learning too. This just happened, of course, on Wednesday. The only thing we know is that the identity is this is not some Middle Eastern Muslim terrorist from a third world country. This is supposedly an American white boy from the Midwest, and folks, it can happen here, and it's really sad. I think we have to try to see what we can do to prevent this from happening in the future. I mean, what is your mindset though, Tony? As far as I guess I can try to relate it somehow to serial killing as far as people trying to find out what's inside the head of somebody who does this to try to see where they're coming from to try to, obviously it's for prevention purposes, but how do you believe, how far should we delve into whoever did this, into their mindset, versus are they just obviously just nuts?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of both, with a touch of religion, taking the most extreme part of the Bible and, manipulating to your own reality. And I think it's white paranoia. We live in a more diverse country. You have people immigrating here. And I think it's freaking some people out. Like, it's making some white people feel a little uncomfortable. So
yeah, well, I know along the campus here, you and I, we have friends of all colors, makes, models, backgrounds. DePaul's a beautiful campus here. I got all kinds of friends in every corner, basically, that I've met so far. I've met so many people. But it's really sweeping across the campus here. Everyone is saddened. Everyone is. Well, the point I was trying to make, Tony, is how much should we look into the reasoning of why somebody did this versus just saying, I guess if somebody, how much do you want to listen to somebody who did this afterwards?
Right.
As opposed to if somebody said to you beforehand, hey, I got a problem with this or I got a problem with that, you're willing to listen and talk and try to, I guess, negotiate. But how much should we listen and try to get background knowledge of what this person's motivations were? That's what I was trying to go to along the lines of a serial killer. You try to get behind the mindset to see like what makes a serial killer. How important is that, do you think, as far as some people say, like, look, I don't care what this person's motives are, because once you start killing, I could care less about what you wanted or why you did it. I just really want the punishment to ensue. But how much are you for basically analyzing and studying the backgrounds of people that do this, and how do you think it can really give some insight into why they did it, or possibly preventing or stopping it from happening in the future?
I think it's important to know how these people tick, what makes them tick, how they think about things, because you want to find out, you want to go to the root problem. And you could look at Rush Limbaugh. There's a lot of conservative people in the news with xenophobic ideas. I think a lot of this has a lot to do with it. You have historically, where like groups like the Ku Klux Klan, and you had a lot of neo-Nazis in the late 80s. And, what has been done to these people, or there's been no repercussions. It's just kind of like shut under the rug until something really bad happens. I think it's important. I think you need to study and understand these people to prevent it. I'm not a big government person, but this is like a real threat, and I think they need to, they need to stop just looking at the Middle East and like look at our own country. Was this person, in the military? Like, where did they learn or get the idea to how to plan this, and like, what methods they use, like why, how, where, all that. I think it's all important.
Yeah, it seems like, nothing's been as big as this, but there's certainly a lot of, when I think about mass shootings, which there hasn't been a ton in this country, but the ones that have been orchestrated have been like ex-military, like disgruntled ex-military, basically upset about either the Vietnam War or upset about civil rights. think you were talking about earlier about black versus white and maybe the advancement of women or minorities in our country or different opportunities that are popping up finally for non-white people, I guess, and that seems to anger a lot of people. It just it's weird how everyone was fine when certain people were just doing menial jobs and basically being servants, and then once people start demanding a little bit more, it's not only is the answer no, but it's a no and I want to kill you. It's a horrible kind of a trend. I hope this doesn't become a trend, but anyway, we'll talk more about this in our next episode as it develops. This is a brand new story. It's shaking the nation. It's shaking our campus here. I don't mean to be too selfish about the subject, but we can't live in this 24/7. It's Friday at Chicago. We're on campus here. We work hard. We study hard. We want to have a good time, so we're not going to focus too much more on that. But we do have another story of death, unfortunately, to talk about here. There's been a lot of sad stories lately. Obviously, Tony, you've heard about the Selena murder that happened within her own group, I guess. It was somebody who was a part of her team or one of her followers.
Right.
Somebody that was connected to her that I guess was a severe fanatic, which is where the word fan comes from. There was a fanatic within her fan base that was upset and I guess shot her. I think she was like 22 or 23. So super sad. Yeah. So what do you think about this? This is another subject as far as people loving. It just happened to a TV star a few years back, a female, I forget the show, where there was a fanatic that went to California, knocked on her door, and just shot her in her apartment, wherever she lived. Yeah. So that's another mindset I can't get behind. You love a celebrity so much, you decide to go and shoot them.
Right. Yeah. I don't get that either. I never understood extreme fans. And this is like, I'm not a big celebrity worshiper and all that, but this is like a specific thing for entertainers to have to deal with, and I don't agree with that. Like, I think everybody should live their life and be protected equally and, not be in fear of people coming up and loving you so much that they're gonna try to kill you or kidnap you, So this obsession is like, it turns to psychosis and it just becomes unreal.
Yeah. Even if people aren't murdering celebrities, the love, I know this is a worldwide thing. We focus on America because we live here, but so I'll focus on America. The love, the unconditional love we have for celebrities, people we don't know, we've never met, who don't even know us, is really pathetic. I mean, it's like I see people around the city here. Now, I'm new to Chicago. This is not New York. I've been in New York before. Tony, you come from L.A. You lived in L.A. for a while. So as far as, I'm certainly not new to the big city. But we know that people are not so nice to each other on a regular basis. I know that I get, some rude treatment, whether or not it's on the L here in Chicago. If I have buses, city buses, whatever my job is, it's just you constantly kind of get the rude treatment from people. Yet those same people will worship somebody because they're on a TV show. What kind of a warped mentality is that with the type of celebrity fetish love that we have in our society? It's just somebody that says a few lines when it records. Yeah, you record something. Hey, I'm Seinfeld. Like big fucking deal. You know what I mean? Yeah. By the way, I hope we can. Hope that again. I hope they're not listening. I hope we can swear on our show.
I think we can swear because we're on a radio. We're on college radio, so I think we can get away with it. But yeah, I agree.
We'll find out.
We'll find out. I agree. I've already seen who was it? I saw Jeremy Piven the other day. I was riding the bus with my girlfriend. I didn't feel compelled to go and jump on him or get his DNA. Some people are so obsessed. They know your DNA. they know obviously where you live, but then they know like all these little details about you, and it's just like, you know, and then you start learning about your family, which is the other scary part. It's insane,
Yeah.
and these are complete strangers, so.
Yeah. And by the way, if you think you love a celebrity, I got a little piece of advice for you. Don't kill them, but I mean, if you want to meet a celebrity, it'll change it very well could change your little crush love thing that you have for a celebrity.
Right.
Perfect example. I came here from St. Louis. I actually at Streetside Records, which is I don't see any in Chicago. All I see here is Tower Records or little record stores. But Streetside was the big one in St. Louis, and believe it or not, I got to meet Slayer, who did that was my favorite band. I know Tony, you love them too. They started out in L.A., I guess, went to New York, and then went to St. Louis, of all places, in the Midwest, and started coming to Chicago when their last album, Divine Intervention, came out last year, and I got to meet them in a meet and greet, and they signed a big picture for me, and you know, every member signed it, and it's like when I met them, I was like, I had such, you know, mass exuberation to meet my favorite band. I was like, oh my God, and right away I met them, and I'm like, see, that was really kind of nothing. Like, that wasn't really that much of a big deal. When you finally actually, in fact, one of the members, Tom Araya, but who's a singer, was quite rude actually. And I remember thinking, like, I stayed in line 2 hours for this. So if you think you love your celebrity so much, go meet them for 5. If you get the chance, I'm not saying hunt them down, but like, you might not love them so much after you meet them.
They might not give a shit about you.
Yeah, they probably don't. So why should you give a shit that much about them? I'm not saying don't put on their record, don't watch their TV show. You want to let them entertain you, fine, but it really should stop right there. Okay, so that story is still developing. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't care about looking into that person that much. This person who murdered Selena, but horrible story. I thought. Yeah, exactly, and it's. If you want to read more about it, there's a People magazine article about it that just came out this week. What else? As far as national news, we know that the OJ trial is in full swing. By the way, it's such a joke too. We talk about the defense team that this guy's got. He's just got this. They're calling it the Dream Team. This big coalition of the biggest lawyers, the biggest defense lawyers in the country. And by the way, Tony, do you remember where you were exactly when the news coverage of the Bronco driving down the highway in L.A.? Do you remember where you were when you heard that?
Yeah, it was everywhere. I was in L.A. It sucked. It was a phenomenon. Like, I don't think I've ever seen. Right. I don't think I've seen anything like it where he's so popular and loved that he's driving around in his Bronco, which I found kind of shady. But then, like everybody, he's got his friend with him. He's on the phone. I mean, it's kind of like it's almost like it's a movie because it seems orchestrated and written, you know, sketched up because. It's like, it's just strange that this guy who, if he's innocent, why is he fleeing and, you know, all this stuff. And it's every episode, every day is a new thing with this guy. And then the whole process, like Johnny Cochran is like this superstar and, it's just fucking nuts.
Yeah, I remember I was working, a friend of mine is a manager of a warehouse, like a marketing distribution warehouse in St. Louis, and I was, you know, putting together a package of marketing materials to send out, and everyone's like, oh my God, we used to have the radio going, or sometimes we would play tape on my buddy's boombox there. And I was just sitting there, and it's like, OJ fled. I remember when the murder first happened, it was like, you know, did he do it? I remember being like, wow, like, why would he murder his ex-wife? Maybe it's his wife or his ex-wife. Why would he murder her just for having maybe an alleged affair or something. I mean, because we think of these, again, celebrities, we're talking about celebrities.
Right.
OG's got to have his pick of the litter, right, of different women. Why are you focusing so much on someone who's either you're on the outs with? Why not go out with somebody new? So anyway, he supposedly she was seeing somebody new and he didn't take it too well. But I remember thinking, like, he couldn't have done this. Why would he do this? And then as soon as I heard that he was fleeing in a white Bronco and his friend called up the media to say, like, hey, we have a list of demands, I'm like, uh-oh. Like, he did it. He definitely did it.
Man.
If he's driving away in a Bronco and he's got a list of demands before he turns himself in, like, something's going on there. He's guilty of something. So, but the trial is happening now. It's going to be happening for a long time. It's kind of a sensation. They're calling it the trial of the century. So we'll see how this turns out. But so far, it just lets you know, Tony, a few different things. Number one, the mockery of the judicial system. Number one. Number two, how money wins out already. I mean, some people are like, why would this take this long as far as the trial is concerned? There's just a few basic points of evidence, like put the guy in prison already. But there's there's a third thing too. We're also learning about the severe amount of racism within the LAPD. Right. I mean, it's this, who's the police chief? The LA police chief is caught on audio tape saying the N-word 40 times. Right. I mean, it's like, it's kind of one of those things where if he was going to be a juror in this case, he wouldn't be, that they would kick him out. They'd say, you're not fit to be a juror because you're obviously a racist. You'd have a negative impact on the jury room. You would taint or befoul the jury room because you're obviously biased. So how can this guy properly be a police chief if that's what he thinks of black people? Right.
I mean, it's so tainted. It's so tainted in that respect that we're getting a lesson in law, procedure, law enforcement. So
horrible procedure. The way that they just went through all of the evidence. We're just walking around in the footprints, in the bloody footprints, tainting the bloody footprints. It's really kind of disgusting. I hope the guy doesn't get off because of the negligence of the LAPD. That's what I'm afraid is going to happen. Is that a murderer is going to walk because, and if that happens and the police failed the case, they failed us. A murderer could walk free. It's just, I really hope they do their job and did their jobs and that whatever justice prevails, but we'll see what happens. All right, let's go on to some more local stories here. Well, I'm a big sports fan, but I'm new to Chicago. Look, basic sports, we know this. Mark Grace is hitting well for Chicago. They're a little bit better this year than last year. Frank Thomas is hitting well with Chicago. They're not, for the White Sox, they're not as good as they were last year. Jeremy Roenick, Chris Chelios, and the Blackhawks, very good as last year. I'm going to start following those teams a little bit more. We got the Chicago Bears, who Coach Ditka. I remember. See, I came from New England. I saw the Bears versus the Patriots in 1986 when the Bears demolished the Patriots, and Coach Ditka has become sort of almost a parody of a coach. They do him on Saturday Night Live. They have sketches about him. Hey, how many sausages did you eat this week, Dad? Hey, the baker's dozen. By the way, Farley, I'm so sad to hear that Farley, by the way, Tommy Boy is one of the hottest movies. Chris Farley is leaving Saturday Night Live. There's a big, huge turnover there where, like, he's leaving. Adam Sandler's got a movie out. All the talent that was there is leaving. So I hope this next crop of people, we'll find out, I guess, when the show re-ups again in September, but they're going to have a whole new list of talent. I just hope they get some good people because by the way, have you seen Tommy Boy yet?
Yeah, it's pretty funny, actually. I like Chris Farley. I'm kind of a newer fan. But yeah, I saw the movie. I'm not a big, who's the other guy with him? What's his name?
David Spade?
David Spade. Not a big fan of him, but, as a team, I think he's the good straight man, and then Farley's the bumbling guy. He's great at physical comedy. I'm sure he smells good. Yeah.
And by good, you mean bad?
No, I mean like I think he's actually he's a legit. I think he's legit. He's kind of like the John Belushi, John Candy kind of like genre of comedians, and he's good at that.
Right.
He's really good at
Yeah.
it.
You know, if I've seen some David Spade stand up, I don't think he's as funny when it's just him by himself.
Right.
I think he needs somebody like Chris Farley to go off of comedically to be sort of the funny. It goes way back to like the Abbott and Costello stuff and whatever those comedy pairings. But anyway, I thought it was very funny too. Let's see what else is out there. Oh, by the way, before we get into movies, I want to get into some more movies and music. But the reason why I brought up sports is when I came to Chicago, we know of the Chicago legend of Michael Jordan. I saw him from afar when I was in Massachusetts. Everyone knows how amazing it was to see him. But like, how cool is this? We moved to Chicago, and immediately after we get here, he's coming back. He's coming back to the Bulls. He actually came back already. He came back on March 18th was his first game back. But this is so cool now. I can't wait to go see a Bulls game and see Michael Jordan. That came up pretty much out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And by the way, have you heard? There's a conspiracy theory. We know that Jordan is a big gambler, and we know that his father was murdered. And the conspiracy theory is, and by the way, conspiracy theories, this is the thing, a lot of them that we're finding out have some kernels of truth to them. The one on his father is that he owed the Chicago mob a bunch of gambling money.
Oh, no.
And they forced him out of basketball so that sports betting profits could go up because there was the betting demands were so low because Chicago just kept winning. They won 3 championships in a row, and supposedly they forced him out of basketball. This is the conspiracy theory. It hasn't been proven that he owed the Chicago mob a bunch of money, didn't pay up, and they killed his father for it.
Well,
Do you believe that?
That would be horrible if that was the truth.
Yeah, if it was. But anyway, that's the conspiracy theory going out there. But anyway, it's still good to have him back. It's great to see the Bulls, and I'm really excited to go see a game. Who knows? Maybe they'll pull off another 3 championships like they did before. That'd be pretty wild.
I think it would be. Let's see. I think by when are the championships? June.
Yeah, the June is when the playoffs will be starting here really soon. The season just ended. The Bulls are going to be in the playoffs this year. They're not, even with Michael, they haven't been, they've been losing some big games here to some big teams, but June is when the championships would be if the Bulls get into the championship this year.
So I think by this end of this season they'll win the playoffs and go to the championships, and there'll be another season riot, and it's just going to be back to normal. So I'm excited to see what happens. I kind of watch football, basketball, but being here it's like a different thing. It kind of gets more exciting because it's like the whole city's on fire with it, and it gets you pumped.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love it.
I got to tell you too, it's a different thing. I have gone to Wrigley Field since I've gotten here. And it's a good look. I went to a lot of Red Sox games growing up in Boston. I went to a Celtics game, and football, I don't like going to football games because it's cold out. I'd rather watch them from inside from my TV. But for the Bulls, I am so excited to go to a Bulls game. I can't wait. Maybe I can pull a few strings to get us a couple of tickets. But and by the way, Mr. Tony Man of the Streets, you know all kinds of people. You've been here for a short amount of time, but you know people all over the place. So if there's anything you can do to try to get us into the United Center, let me know, because now that we're in the media, quote unquote, the beloved media, we've got to start using our connections for us and try to get into some of these games and try to get into some of these movie premieres and all these kind of stuff, because as the audience out there, we want to bring you the latest news, gossip, and reviews of the best of what's out there in Chicago entertainment. So we'll get on that. Okay, transfer from sports. Let's go back to actually let's go on music. Let me tell you something that Tony, you and I really get into thrash metal, heavy metal is something that we love together. I love Pantera, I love Slayer, love Testament, all kinds of great bands out there. Pantera is basically the king right now of metal. And Metallica, of course, who's kind of, I don't know if they're really, you'd consider them metal anymore, but you are actually a bigger fan of hip-hop than I am. And I guess maybe I got to get on the train, because if you look at the charts, Tupac is all over the charts. West Coast, I guess he's from the West Coast. Biggie, Notorious B.I.G., his single Big Papa's all over the place. So we got some rappers, a couple of young hotshot rappers that are really kind of trailblazing, setting the trends in music, and are all over the charts. And it's only going one way as far as hip hop and rap, as far as how much we all love it. So tell me about, are there any other aspiring stars? What do you think of those two guys? Who do you like more, and where do you see them going in the future?
Well, I like Tupac. I like Biggie's album. Ready to Die is a good album. I like Tupac's style. He's got a good flow when he raps, and then it's like he's almost talking to you when he rhymes. Biggie's a good storyteller. You can kind of really see where he's, what he's talking about, where he's from, and his honest rhymes, his lyrics. I don't know. There's just a lot of good aspects to it, but I know I like. I don't know. I have a mixed feeling, because I like the West Coast. I like the music, like the actual beats. I'm a big fan of Ice Cube, NWA. Even though Ice Cube right now is just kind of lost his way. He's just, now it's like fantasy. Biggie's kind of inspired like a whole mafia Don trope. But yeah, I don't know. They're pretty good. I have to say, there's a group called Wu-Tang Clan that's really good. I've been listening to this guy Method Man. He's really good. 36 Chambers is a good album. Yeah, I don't know. It just kind of depends on, what mood I'm in. But, yeah, I love it. I love both. I've been to a bunch of shows. I went to the Elbow Room. My girlfriend at the time, she's a big hip hop fan, so she turned me on to stuff. She used to date this local guy called Common Sense. I think he's on tour, but yeah, so she introduced me to some guys, and then some artists. Met another group called Third Rail. They're local, but they've performed with a lot of big name artists. It's huge. I think Tupac's gonna be here, play the House of Blues pretty soon, and then Biggie's gonna play Navy Pier this summer. So I don't know, it's kind of exciting. Huge.
Yeah, not to mention those guys. Yeah, not to mention those guys are getting involved in movies. I didn't see. Wasn't Tupac in Poetic Justice, right, with Janet Jackson?
Yeah, he's pretty good. He actually studied theater in he went to the Fame. I want to say with Jada Pinkett. He went to the Fame school, like the show Fame. He actually attended that real school. So he's a trained actor. He's a thespian, technically. He's real.
Yeah, and speaking of which, you mentioned Ice Cube. His new movie Friday is about to drop next week. Hearing some real good things about that. So hey, maybe we'll have to go check it out next week. As far as other movies are out, let me see if there's any that I've seen now that the if you saw the Oscars happen a little while ago, and there's a movie that won a couple of Oscars that, and I'm not talking about Forrest Gump. I know everyone loves that movie, but I'm a huge fan. Have you seen the movie Shawshank Redemption?
Yeah, it's actually pretty good.
Pretty good? I think it's one of the greatest movies I've ever seen. And one of the things I couldn't believe is that the short story was written by Stephen King.
Yeah.
For this movie, I only thought he did horror movies, but he wrote this too. I mean, I'm really impressed.
Isn't it under his alias? Like he wrote a bunch of non-horror pieces that are under, I can't remember his alias, but yeah, he's an amazing writer. He wrote Stand By Me, remember, and then The Green Mile, and these are all like heartfelt stories. They're just more about like humans and like the human condition rather than like, you know, a monster. So yeah, he's great. Yeah,
the short story compilation that it's from is different seasons that had Stand By Me on it. Now that was under his regular name, Stephen King. He did write a short story called Thinner that I know, where he used an alias or a nom de plume, is what they call it. I can't really remember. Yeah, that's the French word for it, but I can't remember the name. He's used a different name for a few different short stories, but do you have a favorite, like, Stephen King movie that's turned into, or a book that's turned into a horror movie so far?
I liked Dead Zone. I like Christopher Walken. Just a good story. It's like the first Stephen King story I read when I was in junior high. Let's see. Shining's pretty good, even though it's totally different. Yeah, I mean, I didn't like Christine. I didn't like that Machine Gone Crazy one. I thought that was stupid. But
that was Maximum Overdrive?
God, that was garbage. And, you know, he's like I love Stephen King, but he's one of those guys where he's in every one of his fucking movies too. Like, it's funny. He makes an appearance, and you know, it's Stephen King. He's got a specific look. So yeah, it's just I don't know. I like Christine's okay. Cujo's like pretty good. I don't like dogs. I mean, I like dogs, but I don't like, you know, I kind of have a thing about dogs. So when I saw that freaked me the hell out. And Howling, Silver Bullet's really good. So yeah, man, I don't know. I can do this, talk about that guy for a while. So
yeah, I think Silver Bullet was the one I was going to mention. I think it's a really cool movie that's probably a little lesser known than some of the other ones. Carrie, you know, I'm not a huge fan of Carrie, but you know, it's funny thing is some of his books really kind of. I to the filmmakers I say, try whatever you can. Try to make whatever you can into a movie. If you succeed, great. Mm-hmm. But there's been kind of a few failures as far as movies that were very good books. I mean, even though they were kind of true to the book, I thought the Pet Sematary kind of sucked.
Balls. The only thing good about that was the Ramones song, but that's it. Like, right. Everything else sucked.
I don't want to be buried in a pet cemetery. Yeah, that was a good song. Let me see. What else is going on in the world of movies? By the way, one thing I'm getting real tired of, when we went back to Tommy Boy, talk about local guys here in Chicago, I'm really getting kind of sick and tired of Siskel and Ebert. And I don't think they're exactly the fame of movie critics if they sit like everything that's good, that's new, if it's action, if it's comedy, they hate it. They thought the Tommy Boy sucked. They hate Chris Farley. Like, they just sound like a couple of old fucks. Now, excuse me. Now, by the way, I did actually see Ebert the other day getting into a cab. I guess he lives around the Depaul campus here, a little further east. If you know that there's the YMCA. If you go east, like you go east of Halstead Clark here, east of the beautiful campus here at Depaul, There's the YMCA across the street from there. There's a cool little restaurant called Bourgeois Pig, which I don't know any DePaul people that are going to get a cup of soup for $10. If you want a cup of soup for $10, go to the Bourgeois Pig. But I guess I'm either going to stay on campus or maybe I'll go to Devil Dogs or something, or stay on campus. But like I can't really afford that stuff as of yet. But yeah, I'm not such a big. Go ahead.
Well, I go to Clark's. It's like a 24-hour place down the street.
Yeah, good cheap breakfast. Yeah, nothing wrong with it, especially after a night of. Man, I gotta tell you, Tony, that's one different. Forget Cisco and Eber for now. One of the great things is, for like the town I grew up in. Are you kidding? The McDonald's and Burger King, which is the only thing we're at close at like 10 o'clock.
Right.
Like this whole all-night diner thing, like I'm really loving it in Chicago.
Me too.
And I'm totally getting used to it. Not to mention, every single block that you go down after you get out of the bars, there's like a taco house, burrito house. You can go get like authentic Mexican tacos at 2, 3 in the morning. This is like the coolest thing in the world.
No, I agree. I love it. You know, you get hungry after you've been drinking all night or smoking, and I love the names because it's like Taco Burrito House number 5, Taco Burrito House number 2, and like so they're kind of a chain. I love that about Chicago is like family owned, locally owned chain food, restaurants and food joints. So it's pretty cool. There's you ever been to that hot dog place on Broadway, close to Club Neo? It's like in Lincoln Park area, but you go further.
Well, it was on Clark.
Is it? Oh, it's called Clark Dogs, right? Isn't that the name of it?
Clark. Okay, so you go like what? I mean, I know that place up closer to Diversity where they like talk a bunch of shit to you if you get like I like a hot dog.
Yeah, I love that place.
How the fuck do you want your hot dog? I'm like, I'd fucking make it with some fucking mustard. And by the way, don't get ketchup on your hot dog. They'll unmercifully like make fun. Everyone in the whole place will start making fun of you. I'm like, I'll take ketchup, mustard, and onions, and they're like, get this piece of crap from out of town, ketchup on his dog or something. Right. And I'm like, what's the problem? They're like, we're getting rid of ketchup as condiment. We don't put it on hot dogs here.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's
whatever.
The
dog was great, but Clark Dogs. I think that's one that's a little north, but there's places like that just all over, endless amounts. By the way, the homemade. I'm used to like McDonald's French fries. The homemade French fries they make, they cut them. You can see them cut them homemade, like the potatoes. They put them in that cutter thing when they go right into the oil, and they like, oh, dude, there's nothing better after a night of drinking than soaking it up with some like grease and some French fries. Like it's just the greatest thing. So getting to know Chicago, I think that's one of the greatest things. And by the way, talking about music, we know that Woodstock '94 happened last year, which I did not attend.
Why would
in Lollapalooza, there's been lots of what's that?
Why would you? It was
why would you?
It looked like shit. So.
Well, that'll answer my question. I was going to ask you, like, I wouldn't mind, I guess, going to Lollapalooza. I haven't been to like one of those big music festivals. The biggest music festival that I've ever been to is called Clash of the Titans. It was Slayer, Megadeth, Anthrax, and a then unknown Alice in Chains. The Clash of the Titans tour. I always wanted to go to the Monsters of Rock with Van Halen and Scorpions and Metallica and Doc and Kingdom Come back in the day. Are you going to go to any, like, summer festivals are a big, huge thing here in Chicago. They have the Taste of Chicago, which is food, not even music. How many of these summer festivals do you think you're going to go to this year?
As much as I can. Once I learned how much goes on here, I've been learning how much the city is like engulfed in music, the history of it. But then, like, it's unbelievable. You have the Taste, the Blues Fest, Country Fest, Gospel Fest. I think this is good. Huh?
Rib Fest, Hot Dog Fest.
Rib Fest, right,
There's like a
right.
fest for every single food and like
Yeah. I think Ozzy has a fest this year, starting out Oz Fest, because he he wanted. I guess they approached Lollapalooza and they were like, no, you're gross. So he's like, forget you, I'm gonna do my own thing. And his wife is like setting it up, and so you have all these metal bands that'll be there. So it'll be like you'll be able to get every main genre. There's another festival, I believe, by the group Cypress Hill called Smokin' Grooves, which is all hip hop, funk, reggae. So there'll be like everything you could think of. And I'm gonna try to get all of it. I got friends who work for Tower, and wink wink. Hopefully they'll give me some give me some hookup. So we'll see.
Yeah, we could definitely use that. I find myself driving back to St. Louis every once in a while for reasons unknown, and come back to Chicago happy, we'll just say.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got to do something. I mean, I do plan on doing. I'm not crazy. The big food fest. I don't know. Look, I love Chicago food since I've been here. I especially love Chicago pizza. In fact,
the best ever.
You don't like it too much, but the place, if you go east, I took you there the other day. You're like, man, it's okay. When I took you to My Pie to get this beautiful, well, My Pie is more. You see, you like the stuff. That's Giordano.
I like it stuffed, like a big butt. I like it stuffed.
Okay, you stuff that big butt.
Always.
Now I like the deep dish style, which is more My Pie. Now, why don't you like that as much as Giordano's?
Giordano's is great taste. It's like the ingredients. I like the way they do it. The crust is amazing. At times, I have to weigh out which I like better is the actual. My favorite is stuffed spinach, so I have to like weigh out like which do I like better, the cheese and the spinach, or do I like the crust the sauce is really good, the way they do it on top. It's a beautiful, it's beautiful. Like, I don't know, but I had like New York style. I've been to New York, actually in person. I had New York style here. I prefer stuffed. I think you're getting more for your money. If I'm going to spend a bunch of money, the reason I got into it is my girlfriend at the time worked for an ad agency, and she'd bring it home because her clients would order like a shitload, and they would always leave a bunch, and so I got spoiled with it, and then my girlfriend would take me to different places, and it's like when you have sex for the first time with that one chick and she's perfect, you have rhythm. It's the same thing with the pizza. You get food orgasms. It's great. It triggers the same thing as drugs or sex. It's good.
Wow. So you talk about me that I have like food fetishes. You, my friend,
you get off.
Are equating it to like stuff like what I guess you're equating stuffed pizza anal sex, it sounds like. And by the way,
like in a big ass.
When was this that you said your girlfriend at the time would bring you pizza? Now you've only been here for a short time. You guys haven't broken up already, have you?
Not yet, but it's on the verge. We don't get along, but yeah, she first week.
Dude, that is not good if you're
here.
That is not good if you're already talking about her in the past tense. I'm
not too worried.
To everybody out there, Toni Zkrote is available. To everyone on the Depaul campus, don't worry about the fact that he's living with somebody. He's out there on the market for you if you want to take a taste. So when you go to the Taste of Chicago, it's going to be more for the food or more for the chicks?
Both. There's a lot of beautiful women here, and they don't care. So they have their own thing, and I like Chicago women, all kinds.
Now, I think it's too. We're going to transition a little bit into. We don't have that much time left, but we're going to transition a little bit into. we're both fans of grunge. I love, I guess Alice in Chains is my favorite. Pearl Jam just came out with Vitology, really good group. They're smoking, they're really good. Soundgarden had their great album last year, with Spoonman on it and all that stuff. Who else is there? Well, Nirvana, of course, we know they are debunked. By the way, have you heard Dave Grohl's new band? The drummer for Nirvana has a new band called the Foo Fighters. Have you heard them yet?
Yeah, they're okay. I don't know how I feel yet, but was it that one song, My Hero? No. Learn to Fly? I don't know. Their new song's pretty good. I'm still they still play Nirvana on the radio. They're the Beatles of our generation, so we're gonna constantly hear their songs. But I don't know how I feel. Like, I'm one of those people that feels like maybe you should, it's kind of too soon. But who knows? Whatever works. It's cool.
Well, the song that I've heard is called "This Is a Call." This is a call to all my past resignation. I think it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Anyway, Nirvana was a big band. We know that it's been about almost a year to the day that Cobain he offed himself, obviously.
I don't totally. I think there's some foul play. I just think it's kind of interesting that Courtney Love got. She now you hear about her more. Her band Hole is like in the spotlight. There's a lot of suspicion.
A coincidence.
Yeah, a little suspicious.
So you think it was because supposedly when he killed himself, he used his toe to operate a machine gun, not a machine gun, what the hell am I talking about? Shotgun. Now, supposedly though, he had enough heroin in the system to kill the average human being, or no, we don't know about the amounts. Obviously, his tolerance was probably way up. So maybe he could take that much and still operate a shotgun, but some people were a little dubious that, he could shoot himself perfectly in the face. Either way, that would have been a horrible thing to see.
Right.
I guess I was just really down. I looked at him a little bit and kind of held him responsible. Like, man, if you're so unhappy, why in the hell did you have a kid?
That's
if you hate yourself so much and you hate yourself, you hate the world, why bring offspring into the world that you hate? I don't know. I hear people say, like, I don't want to have a kid because I don't want my, like, whatever. People have their own personal issues as far as, like, their DNA is associated with, I'm not even going to say, like, cancer stuff, but even, like, severe amounts of depression or hatred or whatever people's issues are. If you have a certain kind of issue that would make you a less than standard parent, then maybe you should take a look at whether or not you should really have kids in the first place.
And
I don't mean to judge him.
Yeah. No, I get it.
I'm going to say that, I don't mean to judge him too much because I know he had lots of issues going on, but I do mean it seems like such a selfish act as long as it was suicide. For him to do that with a wife and a kid, especially a kid, I mean, I know, I'm not saying I dislike, not saying I don't have any.
Yeah.
Let me finish this one point. I'm not saying that I don't have any sympathy for Courtney. I mean, it's got to be horrible if that happens. But it seemed like it would be easier for an adult to move on than a kid. But go ahead. What were you going to say?
Well, again, that's the argument I hear from different people is like they're either very sympathetic to what happened and why, but then the other side of it is it's like if you look, in the past like year of his life with Courtney and they're doped up, you can clearly see that they're high as hell. And it's a big problem within at least for like white rock stars, it's like, it's a problem where The cliche is they get hooked on heroin, they get fame, they have heroin, they have a heroin habit. It's just not very family oriented. I don't understand. I personally think, in my opinion, celebrities in general shouldn't have kids. They're not like the best people they don't have the best lifestyle for raising a family. It's like, it's very, insecure and, unstable. And it's just like, I like Kurt Cobain, I respect him, but I get that as well. Like, I kind of question, like, what were you thinking? Like, you know, and then her, like, I find her kind of shady and suspicious. And, I hope he didn't sign over all the rights to her, because, we don't need another Beatles scenario where, she's like Yoko Ono, and even Yoko Ono isn't as bad as Courtney Love. So I don't know, man. I feel bad for the kid overall, for
Me too.
for the baby. So
Yeah, if you do have a serious drug habit, it's not a good idea to become a parent, especially that drug. But anyway, the funny thing is, the reason why I brought this up, by the way, my favorite man, Alice in Chains, I have not seen that singer for quite some time, Lane Staley.
Right.
Supposedly he's going through rehab right now, but yeah, he's kind of afflicted with the same disease that is threatening their existence as well. But the funny thing is, I was bringing up Seattle to talk about the complete onslaught now of, we're seeing coffee shops emerge. There's more like Starbucks around the city here than McDonald's or Subway or even like fast food restaurants. Like every single corner that you're at. Now, look, we're both big fans of coffee, but how much do you frequent Starbucks so far? The little marketplace that I worked at has which I just left. I'm going to be a big time bartender here pretty soon, but the marketplace that I worked at had a Starbucks inside the grocery store. So you go there and you grab your coffee and you, I guess, shop while you're getting a little caffeine rush. How often do you frequent these stores, the Starbucks? It seems like kind of for rich, uppity types.
Yeah, I go sometimes. I mostly try to go to like the local businesses. I support local businesses. But yeah, I go, I go once in a while. It's really freaking expensive. It's unbelievable. And now it's super expensive. And it's, the thing that comes up is this thing where it's like, what's in the coffee? Why is it so strong? So I don't know, man. It's a little suspicious. I don't trust corporations, so.
Right. I just know this. It's what, $2 for a cup of coffee at Starbucks. Forget about even if lattes and cappuccinos. But if you go to the campus here into the cafeteria, you can get a cup of coffee for like what, 40 cents, 50 cents. So even though it doesn't, I do have to admit that the Starbucks is much stronger. I have like one big cup of their coffee, like one big little a container of it, and it's like I'm like bouncing off the walls as opposed to the coffee here, where it's like, first of all, I have to choke it down, and then it's like, okay, time to have a second or third cup, and I'm still not as caffeinated as when I drank one regular cup of the Starbucks stuff. So anyway, it does its job, I guess, but it's still pricey as hell. We'll see. What do you forecast as far as this trend of coffee shops? Which, by the way, I mean, I was born in Seattle. I really had no idea that Seattle was the coffee shop king. But like, and I guess there's a few Seattle's best going around now, and maybe there's going to be some other ones opening up. But are you buying stock in the? Go ahead.
No, I'd say my cousin has his own chain in Portland. No, I think it's corporate crap. I think it's like, it's now now it's in the league of McDonald's and, all those other fast food chains. So yeah, I try to avoid it, like I said, but everybody goes there and they appeal to that whole generation. Yeah. I didn't. They just kind of blew the hell up. And when I went to SeaTac, and you go, I flew in a couple times, and I just couldn't believe how many coffee shops were in the airport and masseuses. So it's just kind of strange, but it is what it is. It's the '90s, so what do you expect?
Right. So we got. Let's see how we're doing on time here. Tony, you got your timer? How long have we been going here?
Let's see. We're at 1:11:32.
Okay. So unfortunately, we gotta get out of here within the next 3 or 4 minutes. We will be back next time. We got it is Friday night, so we're gonna go out and have a few beers, do some partying. I actually am going to. I'm actually Tony. A friend of mine got me this job. I'm going to be starting not this weekend, but next weekend at a bar on North and Wells called Tequila Roadhouse. It's kind of a rowdy place. Again, I'm going to be going to bartending school pretty soon. I'm hoping to be a bartender, but right now I'm getting in at the door. Right across the street, though, from Second City, which is something we have to go to and check out. All the guys that we like, Chris Farley and Tim Meadows, I guess, from the SNL cast, both came from Second City. Lots of people have that.
I met that guy. I met Tim Meadows at my job at the Vic. Yeah, he came through and I saw him and I was like, "Oh, I know who you are." And he gave his manager a high five. So I love Second City.
Yeah. By the way, I am kind of jealous. I love the place that you work at, the Vic, besides the fact that we know that Billy Corgan goes there all the time, Smashing Pumpkins. But I saw Merciful Fate, a band that I got to get you into those guys. It's King Diamond. It's his original band. I don't like their original stuff, but the last time they came out was fantastic. Went to see them at the Vic. It's such a great place. I still have not been there though for a Bruin View type thing.
Yeah, you gotta go.
Watch movies and drink beer. What the hell? Yeah,
you can totally come through. It's cheap. You can drink. You can smoke cigarettes if you smoke cigarettes. It's nice. It's kind of a nice way to watch movies, like you're relaxing with your friend at a bar,
right?
Getting drunk, and then you can watch a movie, and you watch 3 of them at a time. So I've seen all my movies. I caught up with all my movies since I've been here.
Right.
So.
That is so cool. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to be getting into Tequila Roadhouse. You are in at the Bruin View, the Vic. I got a buddy that just got a job at the guy who got me the job at Tequila Roadhouse. He's actually in at the Lucky Strike, which is owned by the same owners of Tequila Roadhouse. Now we just have to get a friend in at. We have to get one of our classmates here. We got to get somebody in at Medusa's, so we can get in there for free.
Yeah.
We got to get somebody in at, you mentioned the Elbow Room. I love that place. We got to get a friend there. We got to get a friend at Lounge X, the Neil Club. There's all kinds of places around town here. We got to get people working to this so we can get in there and get our free entry and free drinks, so that it will sort of, kind of complete our little radius of clubs and bars we can go to frequent.
Yeah.
But, okay, so it's Friday night. Besides, I hope she's not listening, but besides cheating on your living girlfriend, what are you going to be doing this weekend?
Just roaming the city, roaming the streets, going to some shows. The band, Sepultura, I think is going to play. I'm going to check them out. Try to meet the band. They, no, not Sepultura. Nailbomb. They're like a hardcore band with a singer from Sepultura, Max Cavalera, with the bass player from Fudge Tunnel. They got a band, and they're supposed to be playing like a small U.S. tour. Gonna check them out when they come through. I think, like you said, Second City. I'm gonna check out some stand-up at Zany's. See who's doing that. But yeah, it's gonna be pretty fun, and Double Door, probably gonna go hang out there. My girlfriend wants to take me there, so yeah.
Yeah, Double Door. It's a hot spot there on Milwaukee, a little bit south of us. Yeah, there's so many parts. So basically, what I'm going to do, I'll tell you what. You get one or two friends. I think you and I maybe we'll check each other out on Saturday night. But
all right,
you get together with a couple of friends. You just start walking, and basically, as long as you don't walk into Cabrini Green, like as long as you're just walking along Lincoln, Fullerton, you go a little bit south, a little bit north. I mean, there's just so much to see. In fact, maybe I'll go check you out up on the north side in Rogers Park. Not as much going on as around here, but you got some friends at Loyola there up on the north side. Maybe they can actually, show us around. Maybe a couple of parties. That is definitely a hot spot to party. So, all right. Well, from Depaul Radio, this is about the time that we have on Friday. Happy Friday to everyone again. Condolences to any of the families involved in the Oklahoma City bombing that has saddened us on this day. But we can say that the show must go on. Please go out there and have a great night on Friday night. Enjoy this beautiful city as we will. Tony, thank you for all your inputs and excellence, and we will be with you next time. Thank you, guys. Take care.
Have a good night. Rock and roll.